Myself, Mr. Manoj Kumar, Faculty of Education, Jamshedpur Cooperative College. Welcome to the online tutorial classes, dear students. Today's topic of discussion is related to the paper 10, Unit 1, uh, creating inclusive education. Within that, we will discuss on the various concepts of inclusion from segregation or separation to integration to inclusion. So let us understand the concept of uh, various uh, various terms under inclusive education. So uh, uh, inclusion has its origin in special education, and the development in the field of special education has involved a series of stages in which education system has discovered different ways of responding to students of difficulties and to the students who experience learning difficulties. So here we will take this as a corollary to special education, integrated education, and inclusive education. So there are three concepts: the separation, that is also called segregation; the other concept, that is integration; and the third concept is inclusive education. Within the inclusive, so it is evolutionary development of inclusive education. And whenever we discuss this thing in terms of various forms, it has been called as learning with disability, learning difficulties, thereafter the exceptional children, and then comes children with special needs, and lastly, as the Modi government has evolved a terms called Divyang. So these are the evolutionary terms or evolutionary terminology used in the various perspectives. In some of the cases, in earlier times, a special education has been provided as a supplement to general education system. While in other cases, it was different. It was differently seen in the various forms. In the recent years, the appropriateness of separate system of education has been challenged, uh, both on the ground of human rights perspectives, and also from the point of view of their effectiveness. So what is human right? When you are challenging these terms, that is the separation or segregation or integration, so these terms has been challenged on the ground of human rights or effectiveness. It implies that the human right is the human right is the way to utilize the rights of living the children in a dignified form, the right of dignity. Here it implies right to dignity, that people, that the student, those type of differentially able students have every right to live in dignified or respectful form. Now the another terms here, which is very important here, that is effectiveness. How it, the effectiveness of these terms has been used, किस प्रकार से इसको प्रभावशाली तरीके से बच्चों में ये लाया जाए. So effectiveness means optimal utilization of their capabilities of those differentially able child or disadvantaged section related childs, or from the underprivileged childs. These children has a potential to optimally develop whenever the right kind of environment has been provided. As we know that we are living in a democratic country, so the right to opportunity has invested in our constitution, as a constitutional rights. Now, the informal discrimination is oftenly observed in our society, and restrictions are imposed on individuals based on uh, based on social level, political level, cultural level, or economical level, or physical level, or means cultural level. It may be uh, mm, in form of behavioral attributes. So also in the intellectual level also these variations are seen. Uh, so separation or discrimination here, the separation has been used as a form of discrimination. So discrimination is against the law of nature. It is unnatural, undemocratic, and also we say that separation or segregation is also against the law of nature. So we see overall that separation or segregation as a concept in inclusive education has been initially evolved, and it can be seen as a process. It can be said that it is a process of imparting education into the students by providing separate environment, separate classes, or separate schools. Though whenever they are provided different classes, different setups, so they utilize their limited potentials, limited needs. And for example, when we are talking about the school of deaf, school of physically handicapped, so these are the glaring examples of separation as a concepts in inclusive education. Now, the another concept that is very important here is the integrations. How the integrated education is also taken as a corollary to the integration as a process. The integration process is a placing of the student of differentially able children to be equipped and provided the right environment in the general education system by providing some of the premises where the specialized uh, resource person or the specialized teachers provided the education to the student, and whenever later on they get their normal capacity, normal level of normal on par with the normal students, they gradually get integrated into the general education. So integrations is a process of gradually adopting to those differentially able or a weaker section of students or disadvantaged section of students to the general education system. Here, the concept of integration has been narrowly seen because we are taking those students, those children who are not getting proper education, who are denied education. Now, whenever this integration has been transformed to the inclusive education, so inclusive as a concept is providing education to all the children. All the children means from the children from the weaker section of the society, from the marginalized section of society, or disabled students, or differentially able students, learning disabled. So all the students are embraced or welcomed, and they are provided the education so that they can develop at the optimum level on par with the normal students in the general education system. So inclusive is a very broad concept as compared to the separation or integration. We see that there is a gradual improvement as we thought on the evolutionary processes from the separation or segregation to integration and integration to inclusion. So the broadness or scope of the typology of the children has been gradually increased, and in the last or culmination point, that is inclusive education, or the inclusion has been come into limelight when our RTI right to educate RTE right to education 2009 has been conceptualized, and it has been much in vogue in when the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, where zero rejection of the students has been used as a policy, and it has been seen widespread across the country that all the children has been adopted included in the education system, despite they are underprivileged or from a disadvantaged section of society, or physically handicapped, or mentally handicapped. So the variety of or the diversity of the student has been used in the inclusive education. So it is a very broad concept. We will see that how broadly the inclusion used in inclusive setup has been utilized, how their needs has been fulfilled. One question generally asked in most of the examination or in objective form, that what is the evolutionary terms that has been used. So tick the correct sequences. For example, so I am talking about the right sequences. The first sequences, the first in the evolutionary phase is what the disabled children. Thereafter, the exceptional children. Thereafter comes the C as children with special needs, C as W, and the children with CW, children with CWSN, that is children with special needs, and the lastly, as the Modi government had announced, the Divyang. So here it has been used in the broader concepts. Here also the disadvantaged section society, underprivileged society, child laborers whenever included in the education general education system. So most of the Banjara marginalized section of society. So inclusive is a very broad concept as compared to the segregation, or or may call it as integration. So special education, integrated education, and then inclusive issues. So these are the things which are generally conceptualized in the inclusive education. The another very important concept that has been seen here in terms of in terms of their broad understanding, but by providing the examples. For example, in the Indian ancient period, what happens? The Karna and the Eklavya are the glaring examples, who are denied with the educations by their respective gurus. For example, Suram or Dronacharya, respectively. So these are also the examples why they were denied educations by these gurus. So here this type of students must be included whenever we are talking about the inclusive education. So it is a very broad concept. keeping in view of our keeping in view of our syllabus. So we will also discuss broadly these terms in the various contexts in the next classes. Thank you very much.